All right, I'm having a skillet full of skillet chili pie, also known as tamale pie, but I prefer the sound of skillet chili pie. Let's have some. Oh, get the chili underneath. This is my own mixture recipe with a secret ingredient, which I'll tell you about. And on top, we got the cornbread. And the two together are absolutely made for each other. You know, usually you make cornbread by itself and some chili. Why not just make it all in the same skillet? Save yourself time, save yourself hassle. Let's go in the kitchen and make some right now. First, we're going to make the chili portion of our skillet chili pie. Now for the chili portion of it, what we have here is 1 tablespoon of olive oil. That's for cooking the onions in and everything else. So we're just going to add that to the pan right now. What I'm using is my cast iron fry pan. You want something that can go in the oven. Cast iron is great, but also if you have something else like one of the Copco styles or something like that, or Le Creuset, something good and solid, something with a handle that can stand the oven heat, you're good to go. So I'm going to heat up that oil. And while that's coming up to heat on about medium heat, let's go over to the rest of the ingredients. What I have here is 1/2 onion minced, so a little smaller than the regular chop. And over here I have 12 ounces or 340 grams of ground meat. That could be beef, pork, or in this case, my favorite beef pork mixture. 1 cup of red kidney beans, rinsed and drained. That's a little bit over half a 15-ounce can. Same goes for the tomatoes. This is 1 cup of either crushed or chopped tomatoes from a can. Again, a little over half a can, that is. There are 2 tablespoons of chili powder. There's 1 garlic clove crushed, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and this is the surprise ingredient, 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder. Now the cocoa powder is my secret ingredient, and it goes in there and it just kind of mellows the flavor of the chili into just something wonderful. So that oil's come up to heat. Let's get the onions in there. And now I'm just going to cook the onions. They're smaller, so about somewhere between 3 to 5 minutes on medium heat. Just enough to slightly brown them, make them a little bit translucent, and then in go more ingredients. So I'll see you in a couple minutes. All right, those onions have lightly browned a bit. We don't want to burn them, so that's good enough. In goes the hamburger. Or hamburger meat, whatever you want to call it. Actually, in Japanese, we would call this minchi, like minced. Or the older Japanese would be hikiniku, pulled meat. All right, just break that up a little bit and gonna toss in the chili powder and the salt. And just stir that around, get that chili powder mixed in. All I'm doing is basically using my spatula to just kind of cut through the ground meat, because it always kind of comes in a lump. Chop it up a bit, mix the chili powder and salt into it, get a little bit distributed. And now what we're going to do, and stirring quite frequently on this because it will otherwise kind of stick to the bottom of the pan, is going to brown this meat for about 5 to 7 minutes. Doesn't have to be perfectly brown. It's going to cook longer yet when we add everything else. I always got to get a little browning going on there and get a head start in cooking the meat. So just kind of chopping it up, mixing it around. Do this for about 5-7 minutes. I'll be back. All right, that's been 5 minutes. Nicely browned. Smells like you're making tacos with this right now. All right, so in go the tomatoes. Get all that nice juice in there. In go the tomatoes, in go the kidney beans, and in goes the garlic. Now we're going to save the cocoa powder until later. That goes in at the last minute. Alright, just mix that in, get all the tomatoes and the beans and everything distributed together. Alright, now what I'm going to do here is I just want to simmer this. So I'm going to turn the temperature down a little bit at a medium low and just let that simmer nicely. And every once in a while I kind of stir that around a bit. Alright, back in a couple minutes because we're going to make the cornbread to go on top. Right, this has been cooking for about 10 minutes. Looking good. Stirring it every once in a while and just kind of spreading it out again in here. So, you let that keep cooking for a couple more minutes. So, I'll go about 15 minutes total. And right now I'm going to make the topping, the cornbread. So what we have here is we have 1 egg beaten. We have 3/4 cup of cornmeal. I like kind of a bit of a coarse cornmeal if you can get it. 2 tablespoons of melted butter, 1/4 cup of milk, 1 tablespoon of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So first, let's just mix all the wet ingredients into just one bowl here. So milk goes in with the egg. In goes the butter. And I've allowed that butter just to cool down a little bit after melting it. You don't want it, right off the heat hot, otherwise we're going to start cooking the egg. Take a medium-sized bowl, and in it we're going to combine the dry ingredients. So in goes the cornmeal, the flour, the baking powder, and the salt. And then just use a whisk to kind of mix those around a bit. Okay, that's looking good. And then just mix the wet ingredients together and into the cornbread they go, or the cornmeal mixture. I guess it's not quite cornbread yet until we get it all mixed together and baked. And then just gently mix it together until all the ingredients are combined. Let that sit a minute, because what we're going to do now, we've got that cocoa powder. I'm going to mix that into our chili. Mellow it nicely. And a bit of a chocolate smell in the air. But if you don't really taste the chocolate, you just kind of get this hint and this mellowness. It's fantastic. Trust me, you'll like it. Okay, get those mixed around. Looks like we're coming up on the 15-minute mark now, so that's looking good. Our oven is coming up to heat. That oven is coming up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius. And this pie is going to go into the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. You just got to, at 20-minute mark, just have a look and see. What you want to see is you want to see the cornbread nicely golden browned on top. That is perfect. That's the way we want to eat it. Okay, so what I'm doing here now is I'm just smoothing this all down into just about like a chili cake. Turn the heat off, and let's spread that cornmeal over the top. So just put it all in the center there, and then just use my favorite rubber spatula to spread it out. Now myself, I like a bit of a not too heavy a crust of cornmeal on top. I like a lot of chili. If you want a really thick cornmeal crust on top, double the recipe. Bring it right up there. It may sometimes overflow a little bit, depends on your pan, but if you like a lot of cornmeal, go for it. And then what I would do is I'd just allow it to maybe bake for just a couple more minutes. That's about it. It's not going to make a big difference. All right, That oven's about ready. We're gonna get this in the oven. I'll see you in 20 minutes. All right, that's been in the oven now for 20 minutes, and look at that. We've got this nice golden browning on top, a little crackling through the crust. That cornbread is going to be absolutely delicious. So let's serve some up. I just kind of cut through there like that, and this first part's always the hardest one to get out without making a mess of. Come on. All right, come on. Yeah. See, leave half the chili in there. All right, just pile that up around it. Okay, so what you've got is you've got this delicious chili base, and then you've got the cornbread on top of it. You eat that together, it's absolutely delicious. Now, before we go, just want to talk about the different varieties that you can make. I mean, we made just a regular cornmeal, just cornbread only, but you can add other things to the cornbread. A little cheddar cheese in there is nice. Jalapeno peppers. If everybody in the family loves jalapeno peppers, if not, put in about half. Just kind of plunk them in there and push them into there just before you throw it in the oven. But many different variations you can make, and like I said before, if you want a thicker, I like this ratio. I like a bit more chili to my cornbread, but if you want a heavier ratio of cornbread, double it up. All right, enjoy Skillet chili pie. Now, if you go to the link appearing on the screen, you can get the free printable recipe for Skillet chili pie on our website. So go print out the recipe, have fun making and eating this delicious pie, and make cooking fun again with Kuma's Kitchen.